Hey y'all, welcome back to Movement Link. So, an issue, my goodness, an issue that we see everywhere in everything. We see it when we run, when people just stand, we see it when we're deadlifting, we see it when we're pressing, is just the inability or the lack of awareness on what's going on at the pelvis. And what we know is that these overextended, kind of dumpy positions here don't allow us to breathe very well. They put a lot of extra stress on our vertebrae, and they're just not very powerful. We have a hard time generating power in these positions. So we're talking about the air squat, and what happens in the air squat is a lot of people mess up in the first inch of the air squat, and then they're just playing catch up the whole time. So what I'm talking about is everything is just posture, the squat, the push-up, and a jump. I know we talk about it all the time, and you're probably getting sick of hearing me say it. But what happens is as I set up, my butt is tight, my belly button's drawn in, my rib cage is down, I'm standing tall, my weight is even on my feet, I'm trying to create that torque. So I'm going through that checklist. So people do a really good job with their posture when they're doing an exercise at the start, and as soon as movement starts to happen, that's where we kind of dump out. So what we see in the air squat very, very consistently is people are tight here, and as soon as they start to move, they just stick their butt back, and then we get this really overextended position. And so it just goes perfect, overextended, because they're overextended, they're going to run into their hips, so we see the reversal, and then they come back up and they're overextended and they get to the top in that kind of duck position, and then you just see them go, bring it under them, and then they go right back to it. So what they do is, it's kind of funny looking, is they've got a 90% or 99.9% of their air squat is in this overextended position, and then right at the top of the rep they go squeeze and let's go back to being overextended. So what I want you to check in on is just the first couple inches of that squat, and there's a couple ways you can do this. We've got other videos on these ways. But one is you can wear a belt, and not really a weight belt, even though a weight belt would work, an actual belt, or you can even just tie a string around. And what we see is when people lose that nice neutral hip position and we get that anterior pelvic tilt, the belly poofs out. And when that belly poofs out, if we're wearing something tight here, it'll tighten up and you'll feel it press into it. So we're always trying to draw away from this, and then getting that big air in to brace. The other thing you can do is just simply put your thumb here, just kind of right below the belly button, and put another one on your sternum. And if we overextend, then my hands go further apart. So just because I don't have a belt around, I actually prefer the belt, because in this one you can kind of move your hands with it a little bit, and the belt just gives you that instant feedback. But what we're looking for is, in the first couple inches, are you overextending, or in the first couple inches, are you staying together? So the areas I want you to check in on is you can just go 2 inches and pause and hold. Okay, so work on that. And once you get that down, what I want you to do is then go down to the bottom, and let's check in there. Okay, so those are really what we're trying to do, is if we can go from a good position to a good position, a good position, what happens in between usually looks pretty good. So again, it's usually right off the bat is where the big mistake gets made. And if you can get better just in those first couple inches, it'll bring that awareness to be like, oh, those are the muscles I need to be firing to keep that neutral spine through the whole thing. So if you're dealing with butt wink or low back issues, or if just visually you see yourself on camera and you're coming up in that duck position, squeezing and going right back to it, we just need to work on, usually it's the bracing of the lower abs, holding that Kegel, and just getting that pelvis in the right place. Hope that helps.